Hey guys, welcome back. Tonight, we drift back more than 2,000 years to a city by the Mediterranean Sea where humanity once dared to dream of collecting every thought, every story, every piece of knowledge ever written. This is not a story of war or destruction. It is a story of marble halls, quiet scholars, flickering lamps, and a single impossible idea: the Library of Alexandria. A place where knowledge was treated like a living flame meant to be protected, shared, and gently passed forward through time. So before you get comfortable, take a gentle moment to like this video and subscribe, but only if these deep sleep history stories help you find peace, sleep better, or simply reflect on our shared journey through time. Now close your eyes, let the sound of the ancient sea settle your thoughts, and allow yourself to drift into the calm, timeless story of the greatest library the world has ever known. Good evening, and welcome back to Sleepless Historian. Before we begin, allow yourself to settle into stillness. Find a position where your body feels supported, where your breathing can slow without effort. Let the tension of the day loosen its grip, as if it were a cloak gently placed on the floor beside you. Tonight, there is nothing you need to solve, nothing you need to remember, nothing you need to prepare for. This is a moment of quiet travel, a bedtime story carried on the rhythm of the ancient sea. As you listen, imagine the soft hush of waves rolling in from the Mediterranean, not crashing, not demanding attention, but breathing steadily against pale stone shores. In the ancient world, the sea was not only a path for ships, it was a messenger, a memory keeper, a mirror reflecting humanity's endless curiosity. We travel now to the edge of that sea, to a city that once shimmered with white marble and salt air, a city where ideas moved as freely as traders and scholars. This is Alexandria, not yet a legend, not yet a loss, but a living dream. Long before fire and ruin entered the story, before whispers of destruction shaped its myth, the Library of Alexandria began as something far gentler. It was not born from fear, nor from conquest, but from hope, a dream shared by philosophers, rulers, and poets alike. A dream that believed knowledge could be gathered, protected, and shared, not for power alone, but for understanding. Picture the city at dusk. The sun sinks slowly toward the sea, staining the sky with gold and rose. Columns glow softly as evening arrives. Somewhere beyond the harbor, ships return with their holds full, not only of grain and spices, but of scrolls, ideas, stories from distant lands. In this moment, the ancient world feels connected, as if every road and every tide leads here. The library was imagined as a place where the scattered thoughts of humanity might finally rest together. Not trapped, but welcomed, a home for memory itself. Scholars once believed that every story mattered, whether it came from a distant empire or a quiet village. In Alexandria, knowledge was not meant to sleep in isolation. It was meant to speak, to echo, to gently illuminate the mind. As you breathe in slowly, imagine stepping into this city as night approaches. Lanterns flicker along marble walkways. The air carries the scent of papyrus, ink, and sea wind. You are safe here. This is not a place of urgency. It is a sanctuary of thought, designed for reflection. The idea behind the library was radical for its time: to gather all human knowledge in one place. Not fragments, not summaries,
but the voices themselves. Every scroll copied with care, every language respected, every idea given room to exist. In a world often shaped by war and division, this was a quiet act of unity. The founders of the library did not know how the future would remember them. They only knew that the present deserved preservation. And so, by the sea, under a sky that darkens gently into night, humanity dared to imagine a shared memory. As your breathing grows slower, let the modern world fade. The noise, the screens, the endless flow of information can rest now. Tonight's story is older, calmer, and slower. This is relaxing history, told not to awaken urgency, but to invite rest. A bedtime story from the ancient world where wisdom moved at the pace of footsteps and candlelight. The Library of Alexandria begins here, not in flames, but in silence, not in loss, but in intention. And as the sea continues its timeless rhythm outside the city walls, the dream takes its first breath.
As night settles fully over Alexandria, the city does not rush into darkness. It exhales. The heat of the day softens, and a cooler breath from the sea slips between columns and courtyards. Somewhere near the harbor, lamps glow steadily, guiding travelers home. And beyond the noise of trade and voices, there is another rhythm beginning to take shape, a rhythm of thought. The Library of Alexandria was never meant to dominate the city with grandeur alone. Its true power lay in its quiet presence. Built not as a fortress, but as a refuge, it stood as an extension of the human mind itself. Long halls designed for walking slowly, open spaces where voices could lower naturally, rooms shaped to invite reflection rather than command attention. This was architecture shaped by intention, a place designed to calm the mind, to encourage patience, to reward curiosity. Imagine approaching the library for the first time under a starlit sky. The marble beneath your feet holds the day's warmth, grounding you with each step. You pass through columns that frame the night like a painting, the sea visible in the distance, shimmering faintly under the moon. There is no urgency here, no call to hurry. Even knowledge in this place moves gently. Inside, the air is still. Scrolls rest in careful order, not hidden away, but waiting to be read, to be remembered, to be carried forward in the minds of those who listen. The scholars who gathered here came not only to study, but to share silence. Conversations unfolded slowly, often beginning with long pauses. In the ancient world, wisdom was not shouted, it was approached, and the library understood this deeply. It was a living organism, fed by ships from distant shores. Any vessel entering the harbor might be asked to surrender its books, not as a loss, but as a gift. Copies would be made, originals preserved, knowledge multiplied through patience rather than force. This was the heartbeat of the ancient world's greatest intellectual dream. Not ownership, but preservation. Not speed, but care. As you imagine yourself wandering through these halls, let your breathing mirror the pace of the place. Slow, steady, unforced. The library did not chase completeness through urgency. It trusted time. It trusted that gathering wisdom was a long process, measured not in years, but in generations. Every scroll carried the weight of a human voice. Every idea was treated as something fragile, worthy of protection. And so the library grew, not as a monument of stone, but as a sanctuary of memory.
Outside, the city continues its gentle nightlife. Waves whisper against the harbor. Somewhere, a scholar pauses mid-sentence, listening to the sea, allowing thought to settle before continuing. This balance between mind and nature was no accident. Alexandria was built where land and water meet, where stability and movement coexist. The library mirrored this harmony. Knowledge here was not static. It flowed. It adapted. It breathed. As your thoughts begin to drift, allow yourself to rest inside this image, a place where the ancient world believed that understanding could be gathered without violence, where learning was not rushed and silence was respected. This is relaxing history, unfolding at the pace of night, a bedtime story from a time when humanity dared to imagine unity through wisdom. The Library of Alexandria stands quietly by the sea, not demanding remembrance, but offering it. And as sleep approaches, let this ancient dream hold you gently, just as it once held the hopes of an entire world.
As the night deepens, let the image of the library slowly fade into the wider city that held it. Alexandria was never only a collection of buildings, it was a vision made solid. Before the marble streets, before the towering lighthouse, before the quiet halls of learning, there was a moment of decision, a moment when the ancient world shifted course. Picture the shoreline long before the city existed. The wind moves freely across sand and stone. The sea stretches outward, calm yet immense. And standing at the edge of this horizon is a young conqueror, not in armor, not shouting commands, but silent, observing. Alexander the Great is said to have stood here, his gaze tracing the curve of the coast, sensing something others could not yet see. In that stillness, the city was born first as an idea, not a fortress, not merely a port, but a bridge between worlds. Alexander did not choose this land for its safety alone. He chose it for its openness. Here, Africa, Asia, and Europe seemed to lean toward one another. Trade routes crossed, cultures overlapped. The ancient world whispered its possibilities through wind and water. With a simple gesture, a line drawn in the sand, the foundations of ancient Alexandria were imagined, a city not shaped by chaos, but by order. The planners who followed understood that this city would need clarity, straight roads stretching like calm thoughts across the land, wide avenues that allowed air and light to move freely. This was not accidental beauty, it was designed serenity. As you breathe slowly, imagine these streets forming beneath your feet, pale stone warming under the sun by day, cooling gently at night. The soundscape is soft, wind passing through columns, footsteps echoing lightly, distant gulls calling from the harbor. Alexandria was built to soothe the mind even as it impressed the eye. At the heart of this vision rose structures of white and pale gold. Marble was everywhere, reflecting sunlight, moonlight, and thought itself. The city felt luminous, as though knowledge had already begun to shape the stone. And then, at the edge of land and sea, something extraordinary began to rise: the Pharos Lighthouse. Not merely a tower, but a statement. In the ancient world, darkness at sea meant uncertainty, danger, loss. The lighthouse answered that darkness with calm guidance. Night after night, its light would turn slowly, visible far beyond the horizon. Sailors did not rush toward it, they trusted it. And in time, the lighthouse became more than a navigational aid. It became a symbol. Just as the Pharos guided ships safely home, Alexandria would guide ideas toward understanding. The connection was subtle but powerful. Light against darkness, order against confusion, knowledge against forgetting.
As you imagine the lighthouse standing tall, let its slow rotation mirror your breathing, steady, reliable, unhurried. This was the rhythm of the city itself. Ancient Alexandria was a place where engineering and imagination worked together, where technical precision served human comfort, where massive stone blocks were aligned not only for strength, but for harmony. This is relaxing history, not loud with conquest, but quiet with intention. The city was a promise made visible, a promise that humanity could build not only to rule, but to understand. As the sea continues its soft conversation with the shore, the marble city settles into the night, waiting for the stories that will soon unfold within its walls.
Now let your attention drift gently toward the edge of the city, where stone meets open water. The Pharos lighthouse does not announce itself with noise. It stands in silence, rising gradually from the small island that shares its name. In the ancient world, building such a structure was an act of extraordinary confidence. Engineers worked with careful geometry, aligning massive stone blocks so precisely that the tower felt anchored not only to the earth, but to certainty itself. The base was broad and square, steady against wind and wave. Above it rose an octagonal section, narrowing the form, guiding the eye upward without strain. At the top, a circular tower held the flame, protected yet visible, calm yet powerful. This was not rushed construction. Each layer was placed with patience, as though the builders understood that this light would need to endure both time and night. During the day, the Pharos lighthouse reflected sunlight across the harbor, its pale stone shimmering against the blue of the Mediterranean. At night, the true miracle appeared. Firelight, amplified by polished metal mirrors, stretched far into darkness. Sailors miles away did not see chaos or glare. They saw consistency, a steady signal that transformed uncertainty into orientation. As you imagine this scene, allow the slow turning of the light to guide your thoughts. Each rotation marks time passing gently, without pressure. In ancient Alexandria, time was measured not only by clocks or shadows, but by rhythms. The rhythm of waves, the rhythm of footsteps along marble streets, the rhythm of knowledge being gathered, copied, and preserved. The lighthouse was part of this rhythm. It was an extension of the city's philosophy. Light exists to guide, not to overwhelm. Safety comes from clarity, not force. The people of ancient Alexandria trusted systems that worked quietly in the background. Roads aligned to reduce confusion, harbors shaped to calm water rather than fight it, buildings placed to invite breeze and shade. This technical precision created emotional ease. As the wind moves through columns and along the harbor walls, it carries distant sounds, the soft cry of seabirds, the low murmur of the sea touching stone. These sounds blend naturally with thought, encouraging the mind to slow. The Pharos lighthouse was never isolated from the city. It belonged to the same vision that gave rise to the library, a belief that structure could serve wisdom, that engineering could support contemplation. Ships arriving from distant lands often approached Alexandria at night. Long journeys ended not with panic, but with relief, as the lighthouse emerged from darkness like a familiar idea returning to mind. In this way, Pharos became an early metaphor for knowledge itself. You do not chase it, you recognize it when it appears. It does not shout, it remains. As sleep draws nearer, imagine yourself standing somewhere along the harbor, wrapped in the calm of the ancient world. The lighthouse turns slowly. The city rests in pale stone stillness. Somewhere beyond the walls, scholars prepare for another day of listening and learning. Alexandria does not demand your attention, it offers you a place to rest your thoughts. This is relaxing history, shaped by design, guided by light, and carried gently into the night. As the night grows quieter, imagine rising gently above the city as if carried by the same calm air that moves between the columns. From this higher view, ancient Alexandria reveals its true nature. The straight avenues form a quiet geometry below, intersecting with clarity, guiding movement without confusion. The city does not sprawl, it breathes. Every district feels intentional, balanced between land and sea. This was a city planned not only for commerce or defense, but for the mind. Alexander the Great's vision lived on through those who shaped the streets after him. Order was not imposed harshly, it was offered gently. The grid of roads allowed travelers to orient themselves easily, even at night. Moonlight traced clean lines across marble surfaces. Lamps placed at intervals created a rhythm of light, echoing the slow rotation of the Pharos lighthouse in the distance. From above, the harbor curves like an open hand, welcoming ships without crowding them. Water inside the port remains calmer than the open sea, protected by careful design rather than brute force. This technical intelligence creates emotional calm. Sailors arriving late do not feel urgency, they feel arrival. Within the city, life at night does not vanish, it softens. Footsteps become fewer, voices lower. Courtyards glow faintly as families and scholars rest. Somewhere, a breeze passes through a colonnade, producing a low, almost musical sound as it brushes stone. Gulls settle along rooftops, their calls distant and unhurried. Ancient Alexandria understands the value of quiet. This is a city preparing itself to listen. The marble itself seems to reflect thought. Pale surfaces catch moonlight and release it slowly, preventing harsh contrast. Even darkness here feels gentle. This visual harmony was no accident. Builders understood how light affects the mind. They knew that calm spaces invite deeper reflection. And so, as the city rests, it becomes a silent companion to the library nearby. The library does not stand alone. It is held by the city's structure, by its roads, by its harbor, by its lighthouse. Knowledge here is supported from every angle. As you imagine this cityscape settling into the late hours, allow your own thoughts to align with its order. There is no need to rush, no need to grasp. Like ancient Alexandria, your mind can hold ideas without tension. This is the gift of the marble city. It teaches that clarity can be restful, that structure can feel safe, that understanding grows best when surrounded by calm. The Pharos continues its steady watch, light moving across water like a slow breath. The streets lie open and clear. The ancient world is not asleep yet, but it is at peace. And in this peace, something prepares to awaken. The scholars, the scribes, the quiet listeners will soon gather. The story of the library will deepen. But for now, the city holds the night. This is relaxing history at its most subtle, a bedtime story shaped by stone, light, and intention. As sleep approaches, let Alexandria remain above you, whole and luminous, a place where the ancient world learned how to think gently. As the marble city settles fully into its rhythm, another, quieter movement begins to unfold within Alexandria. It does not echo through streets or rise into the night sky like the Pharos lighthouse. It moves inward. It is deliberate, patient, and deeply focused. This is the work of those who hunted not for gold or territory, but for words. Under the rule of the Ptolemies, knowledge became a form of currency more valuable than silver. The rulers of Alexandria believed that power did not only come from armies or wealth, but from understanding the world in its entirety. And so they devised a system unlike anything the ancient world had ever seen. Ships arrived daily from distant ports, their hulls creaking softly as they entered the harbor. Sailors expected inspections for goods, for taxes, for forbidden items. But in Alexandria, something unexpected awaited them. Officials boarded not with greed, but with curiosity. They searched not for contraband, but for scrolls. This practice became known as the fund of ships. Any vessel that docked in Alexandria was required to surrender its books, not forever, but long enough for them to be copied. The originals would be kept, carefully stored within the library, while faithful copies were returned to the owners. This was collecting knowledge at a scale never attempted before. Imagine the scene. A ship rests quietly at anchor. Crates are opened, bundles of scrolls wrapped in cloth are lifted into the light. Titles written in careful hands reveal stories from lands far beyond the horizon. Poetry from islands, mathematics from desert cities, philosophies carried across generations. Each scroll is handled with respect. These are not trophies, they are voices. As the scrolls are carried inland, the city seems to grow quieter around them. They are brought into cool rooms where scribes wait in calm concentration. The copying process begins slowly. Reed pens are trimmed with precision. Ink is mixed until it reaches the right thickness. Papyrus sheets are laid out flat, their fibrous texture faintly visible. The air carries a subtle scent. Dried papyrus warmed by the sun. Ink with a hint of metal and earth. Dust stirred gently by movement, then settling again. This is not hurried labor. Each letter matters. A mistake is not easily corrected. Scribes breathe steadily as they write, letting the rhythm of their hand guide the flow of words. The sound is soft, a quiet scratch as the reed pen moves across papyrus. Pause, another line, another breath. In these rooms, time behaves differently. Hours stretch without pressure. The outside world fades, only words remain. The Ptolemies understood that copying knowledge required more than skill. It required atmosphere. Silence was not enforced, but respected. The library and its workshops became places where the mind could focus fully, without interruption. This is ancient ASMR, long before the term existed. The gentle repetition, the predictable sounds, the comfort of process. As you listen now, imagine yourself seated nearby, not working, not studying, simply present. The scratch of pens becomes soothing. The smell of ink anchors you in the moment. This is history for sleep, where even ambition moves quietly. The hunters of books do not rush, they trust accumulation. They believe that gathering every scroll, every ancient book, will one day allow humanity to see itself more clearly. And as the copying continues, Alexandria becomes something more than a city. It becomes a listening ear for the ancient world.
As the afternoon light drifts across the rooms of copying, the pace remains unchanged. This is not work measured by urgency, but by care. The scribes of Alexandria understand that to collect knowledge, one must first learn how to wait. Hours pass with almost no sound beyond the steady presence of writing itself. Bodies remain still for long stretches, yet never tense. Shoulders relax, hands move with practiced gentleness. The act of copying scrolls becomes a form of quiet meditation. Each ancient book brought from the harbor carries not only information, but intention. Somewhere, long before, another mind shaped these words. The scribes feel this connection. They do not rush it. Papyrus sheets are aligned carefully, edges smoothed flat. Ink is replenished drop by drop, never poured. The reed pen is lifted, angled, lowered again. Scratch, pause, scratch, breath. This repetition creates a rhythm that gently pulls the listener inward. Outside the room, the city continues, but here, time thickens. The Ptolemies designed these spaces to encourage endurance without fatigue. Light enters from above, softened by stone, avoiding harsh glare. Air moves slowly, guided through corridors so that heat never overwhelms. Everything is arranged so the mind can remain calm while the hands remain precise. This was collecting knowledge as an environment, not merely as an action. Scrolls copied here are checked, compared, read aloud quietly to ensure accuracy. Voices never rise. Corrections are made patiently. There is no shame in repetition. Perfection is not demanded. Faithfulness is. This is how ancient books survive, not through brilliance, but through consistency. Imagine standing behind a scribe, watching the ink settle into the fibers of papyrus. The letters darken as they dry, becoming permanent. A thought once fragile now has weight. As the day fades, lamps are lit. The sound changes slightly. Flame replaces sunlight. Shadows lengthen, but clarity remains. The scribes adjust without comment. Their world has narrowed to lines and margins, to spaces between words. In this narrowing, peace emerges. The Ptolemaic vision depended on this calm persistence. The hunters of books did not believe that knowledge could be seized in a single generation. They believed in accumulation, one scroll at a time, one careful copy after another. This patience becomes contagious. Even visitors feel it. Anyone entering these rooms lowers their voice instinctively. The smell of papyrus and ink signals that this is a place where noise does not belong. This is history for sleep, unfolding without drama. The excitement lies not in surprise, but in continuity. As night approaches, some scribes stop, others continue. There is no pressure to finish. The scroll will wait. Knowledge does not flee, it rests here. As you listen, allow your own breathing to match the quiet labor, slow, even, unhurried. In Alexandria, collecting knowledge was not an act of conquest, it was an act of listening, repeated endlessly until the world began to speak clearly.
As the final copies of the day are completed, something subtle but profound takes place within the library. The originals remain, carefully cataloged, gently wrapped, placed among countless others gathered from across the ancient world. These scrolls do not announce their importance. They rest quietly, side by side, forming a growing body of memory. The hunters of books understand that what they are creating cannot be seen all at once. No single person can read everything. No single lifetime is enough. And yet, this does not trouble them. The purpose of collecting knowledge is not mastery, but continuity. Under the Ptolemies, the library becomes something like a living mind. Each scroll is a thought, each shelf a pathway. Together, they form a presence that can outlast any individual. The originals, kept with care, carry a particular weight. They are closer to the moment of creation, the hand of the first writer, the rhythm of an earlier breath. Scribes treat them with quiet reverence. They know that these ancient books are fragile. Light is controlled, air is moderated, movement is minimal. Everything slows down in their presence. This slowness is intentional. Knowledge, they believe, survives best when handled gently. Outside, the city continues its calm cycle.
Ships come and go, new scrolls arrive, others are returned to their owners as faithful copies, carrying the same words onward into the world. But here, in the heart of the library, accumulation continues. The collection grows not loudly, but steadily. Day after day, Alexandria becomes denser with thought. It begins to feel as though the city itself is thinking. Visitors sense it as they walk its streets, a quiet seriousness, not heavy, but grounded. The awareness that words matter here, that ideas are welcomed and protected. This is how the ancient world slowly gathers itself into one place, not by force, but by patience. The hunters of books rarely speak of legacy. They focus on process, on care, on repetition. And yet, without intending to, they create something unprecedented, a memory that belongs not to one culture, but to humanity. As night deepens, the library settles. Lamps are dimmed, doors close softly. The originals sleep among one another, layered in silence. The copies travel outward, spreading knowledge beyond the city walls. This balance between holding and letting go defines Alexandria's genius. It knows when to keep and when to let go. As you listen now, allow this image to settle within you, a place where nothing is rushed, where attention itself is a form of respect. The sound of reed pens has faded, but their echo remains. The smell of papyrus lingers faintly in the air. This is history for sleep, where ambition dissolves into care. The hunters of books fade into the background, their work complete for the night. What remains is the quiet presence of accumulated thought, a city becoming a mind, a library becoming a memory. And as your own thoughts begin to slow, let Alexandria hold them gently, just as it once held the words of the ancient world.
As the city of Alexandria settles into its quietest hours, there is a place within it where silence feels different, softer, fuller. This is the Mouseion, not a museum in the modern sense, but a living sanctuary for the mind. Here, the ancient world slows itself deliberately, as if aware that deep understanding requires rest as much as effort. The Mouseion is connected to the library, yet distinct from it. Scrolls may sleep on shelves nearby, but within these walls, ideas are allowed to wander. Scholars live here. They eat together, walk together, and think together, unhurried by deadlines or demands. Their days unfold gently, shaped by light, gardens, and conversation that drifts rather than collides. Imagine entering the Mouseion in the early morning. The air is cool. Dew rests on stone pathways. Birds move quietly through the gardens, their sounds blending naturally with the soft footsteps of scholars beginning their day. There is no bell to summon them, no schedule carved in stone. Instead, there is rhythm, a shared understanding of when to gather, when to walk, and when to remain silent. Meals are simple, taken slowly, often accompanied by long pauses. Discussion does not seek victory, it seeks clarity. This is where ancient scholars found a way to live with thought rather than chase it. Euclid may pass by carrying nothing but a smooth stick, drawing shapes absent-mindedly in the sand as he walks. Lines appear, intersect, and fade again when the breeze passes. There is no audience, no urgency to preserve the drawing. The idea matters more than the mark. Nearby, Archimedes might pause beside a pool of water, watching reflections shift, listening to the gentle movement of liquid against stone. His attention is deep, yet relaxed.
Discovery here does not arrive with celebration. It arrives quietly, almost unnoticed. Eratosthenes may stand in the garden at midday, observing shadows as they shorten and lengthen. A simple stick planted in the ground becomes a tool for understanding the size of the earth itself. The act looks ordinary, almost trivial, and yet within this stillness, something vast unfolds. These scholars do not rush to announce their insights. They sit with them, they walk with them, they allow ideas to settle fully before speaking. The Mouseion supports this pace. Its architecture encourages wandering rather than confinement. Covered walkways provide shade. Open courtyards invite sunlight. Benches appear in unexpected places, positioned not for ceremony, but for rest. The soundscape is gentle. Wind moving through leaves, the distant murmur of the city softened by walls and distance. Occasional footsteps, occasional laughter, low and brief. This is a place where the mind feels safe enough to slow down, and that safety is what allows insight to grow. As you listen now, imagine yourself sitting somewhere in this sanctuary. You are not expected to contribute, not expected to understand everything. You are simply present. The scholars pass by, their conversations fragmentary, calm, incomplete. You hear a word or two, a pause, another word. Meaning emerges not from explanation, but from atmosphere. This is history for sleep at its deepest, a bedtime story told not through events, but through presence. The Mouseion exists not to impress, but to nurture, and as night gently approaches once more, it continues to hold the ancient world in a state of thoughtful rest.
As the day within the Mouseion drifts forward, the pace becomes even unhurried. There is no clear boundary between work and rest here. Thought flows gently into walking, walking into silence, silence into quiet exchange. Scholars wander the gardens without destination, allowing ideas to surface naturally. You might overhear fragments of conversation carried softly by the air, a question left unanswered, a reflection offered without insistence. No voice rises above another. Disagreement, when it appears, is slow and careful, as if both sides are more interested in understanding than in being correct. This is how ancient scholars protected the fragile space where ideas grow. Euclid may pause beneath a shaded colonnade, tracing shapes in the dust at his feet. He does not lecture, he observes. The geometry forms, dissolves, and forms again, each line a quiet invitation rather than a conclusion. Archimedes might sit nearby, idly moving his fingers through water collected in a shallow basin, watching how it responds. His attention is so focused that the world seems to narrow around him, yet his posture remains relaxed. Nothing here feels forced. Eratosthenes may walk slowly along the garden paths, glancing occasionally at the angle of the sun, noticing how shadows stretch and retreat. He does not announce what he is thinking. He allows the thought to mature in silence. This is the rhythm of the Mouseion. Knowledge emerges not from urgency, but from patience. The architecture supports this way of being. Paths curve gently, encouraging wandering rather than direct movement. Benches appear where one might naturally wish to stop. Trees provide shifting patterns of shade that change throughout the day, suddenly marking time without clocks. Even the soundscape contributes. Leaves rustle softly. Footsteps echo lightly on stone. Somewhere in the distance, the city breathes, but its presence is muted. Here, the world feels held at a respectful distance. As you listen now, imagine yourself passing through this space unnoticed. You are not an intruder. You are simply another presence, moving slowly, observing without expectation. The scholars do not perform their thinking, they live within it. You catch a phrase as you pass, a pause longer than the phrase itself, a gentle laugh, quickly fading. Meaning is not delivered directly, it is suggested, allowed to settle. This is history for sleep, designed for the deepest stages of rest. The mind is invited to drift, not to grasp. The Mouseion understands that clarity arrives when the mind is relaxed enough to receive it. As the afternoon light softens, scholars gradually return indoors. Some carry nothing. Others hold simple tools, a piece of chalk, a small tablet, a measuring cord. These objects are not symbols of authority, they are extensions of curiosity. Inside, rooms remain cool and dim. Discussion continues in whispers, often interrupted by long stretches of quiet. No one fills silence unnecessarily. Silence itself is treated as a form of thought. As evening approaches, shared meals take place. They are modest, unadorned, eaten slowly. Conversation ebbs and flows naturally, never dominating the space. Afterward, some scholars walk once more through the gardens. Others rest. There is no sense of unfinished work. Tomorrow will come, ideas will return, nothing is lost by waiting. This acceptance of time is the Mouseion's greatest lesson. And as night settles fully, the sanctuary grows still. Lamps glow softly, shadows deepen. The ancient scholars withdraw into rest, leaving behind an atmosphere thick with calm understanding. As you listen now, imagine yourself passing through this space unnoticed. You are not an intruder. You are simply another presence, moving slowly, observing without expectation. The scholars do not perform their thinking, they live within it. You catch a phrase as you pass, a pause longer than the phrase itself, a gentle laugh, quickly fading. Meaning is not delivered directly, it is suggested, allowed to settle. This is history for sleep, designed for the deepest stages of rest. The mind is invited to drift, not to grasp. The Mouseion understands that clarity arrives when the mind is relaxed enough to receive it.
As night fully embraces the Mouseion, the sanctuary enters its deepest state of calm. This is not the silence of emptiness, but the silence of minds at rest. Lamps are lowered until their glow barely touches the stone walls, creating soft pools of light that fade gently into shadow. The gardens beyond are almost still, leaves resting after a day of quiet movement. Somewhere, a fountain releases water at a steady pace, its sound slow and predictable, like a breathing pattern learned over many years. The ancient scholars have withdrawn to their rooms, not to retreat from thought, but to allow it to settle. Within the Mouseion, sleep is not considered an interruption, it is part of understanding. Euclid's shapes, once traced in dust and sand, now dissolve into memory, their logic continuing without effort. Archimedes' reflections on water no longer require observation. They drift naturally through the mind, unforced. Eratosthenes' shadows have disappeared with the sun, but their meaning remains, quietly held. This is how knowledge behaves here. It does not cling to consciousness, it rests alongside it. The architecture supports this rest. Thick walls keep the night air cool and stable.
Corridors guide footsteps softly, preventing echoes. Doors close with care, never abruptly. Even the building seems aware that abruptness has no place here. Time slows to its gentlest form. Hours pass unnoticed. Outside, the city of Alexandria continues its distant rhythm, but within the Mouseion, the world feels complete. Nothing is missing, nothing needs to be added. This completeness is what draws the mind toward deep sleep. There is no unresolved tension, no unanswered demand, only continuity. The ancient scholars trusted this state. They understood that the mind solves quietly what it cannot solve by force. As you imagine this night, picture yourself lying somewhere within these walls, not as a guest, not as a student, but as a presence welcomed by stillness. You hear the faint sound of fabric shifting as someone turns in sleep. A breath, another breath. These human sounds are not intrusive. They are reassuring. They remind the listener that even the greatest thinkers were once simply people resting in the dark. The Mouseion holds them all equally. Genius and beginner, question and answer, wakefulness and sleep. This is the deepest layer of history for sleep, a place where learning releases its grip and allows the mind to drift freely. As the night deepens further, dreams may begin to form. Not vivid images, but impressions, shapes without edges, ideas without words. This is the state the Mouseion was built to protect, a mental space where thought becomes gentle enough to transform. When morning eventually returns, scholars will wake refreshed, conversations will resume, observations will continue. But for now, the sanctuary belongs to rest. And as your own awareness softens, let this ancient place guide you downward into sleep, carrying you not toward forgetting, but toward a deeper kind of remembering.
As the Library of Alexandria grows denser with scrolls, a new kind of silence begins to form. It is not the silence of empty rooms, nor the silence of sleep, but the silence that appears when chaos is slowly arranged into order. Knowledge, when gathered in great volume, can overwhelm the mind unless it is guided gently into structure. The ancient scholars understood this, and among them, one figure devoted himself not to discovering new ideas, but to arranging the ideas already collected. His name was Callimachus. He did not seek the spotlight of invention, he sought clarity. In a library that held hundreds of thousands of scrolls, memory alone was no longer enough. Shelf after shelf, scroll after scroll, the accumulation demanded a system. Callimachus responded with patience. He created the Pinakes, a vast catalog, not meant to excite, but to soothe, a map of knowledge designed to reduce uncertainty. Imagine walking through the library at this stage. The rooms are full, papyrus fills the air with its familiar scent. Scrolls rest in orderly rows, yet without guidance they blur together. Callimachus stands quietly among them, observing. He does not rush. He begins by naming poetry, history, law, medicine, philosophy. The categories repeat themselves across rooms, across shelves. This repetition is intentional. It trains the mind to relax. When you know where something belongs, you stop searching. When you stop searching, the mind rests. The Pinakes do not merely list titles, they describe authors, they note origins, they count lines. Each detail adds another layer of predictability. Alphabetical order emerges, not as a flourish, but as a calming tool. A leads to B, B leads to C. The sequence unfolds gently. Shelf after shelf,
Scroll after scroll, the same motions repeated, the same logic applied. Over time, the library becomes less like a maze and more like a rhythm. This is the history of libraries in its earliest form. Not dramatic, not heroic, quietly methodical. Callimachus works in long stretches of focus. He writes, he pauses, he checks, he writes again. The Pinakes grow heavier with information, yet lighter for the mind. Each entry removes a small burden of uncertainty. Visitors notice the change. Scholars move more slowly now, not because they are lost, but because they are no longer anxious. They trust the order. They trust the silence it creates. This is collecting knowledge transformed into care. The act of cataloging becomes a form of protection. As you listen, allow the repetition to settle your thoughts. Order, structure, silence. These words repeat not to inform, but to calm. The ancient world did not yet know the word database, but it understood the feeling of relief that comes from organization. The Pinakes become a quiet companion to the library, guiding without speaking. And as night approaches once more, the shelves stand in steady alignment, holding the chaos of the world in gentle balance.
As the work of Callimachus continues, the library begins to change its character in subtle ways. The shelves no longer feel heavy with uncertainty. They feel predictable. This predictability is not dullness, but relief. The Pinakes expand day by day, entry by entry, following the same pattern without deviation. Author name, place of origin, title, length measured in lines, category assigned. The sequence repeats itself again and again. There is comfort in knowing what comes next. The mind, once alert and searching, gradually lowers its guard. Callimachus understands this effect intuitively. He does not rush the process. He repeats the same careful actions for hours. Sit, read, record, verify, move to the next scroll. The rhythm becomes steady enough to feel almost automatic. In this steadiness, chaos loses its power. Scholars entering the library sense the difference immediately. Where once they scanned shelves anxiously, now they walk with confidence. They follow the structure laid out before them. Poetry leads to poetry. History leads to history. Law rests beside law. Medicine beside medicine. The order never surprises, and because it never surprises, it calms. This is the true genius of the Pinakes. It does not impress through complexity, it reassures through repetition. Each section mirrors the next. Each label follows the same format. Over time, even the act of reading the catalog becomes soothing. The eyes move down lists without effort. Names appear familiar, even when they are not. The alphabet guides gently, one letter after another, removing the burden of choice. In the history of libraries, this moment marks a quiet transformation. The Library of Alexandria becomes not only a place of accumulation, but a place of rest. Knowledge no longer presses inward from every direction. It stands arranged, waiting. Callimachus does not announce his achievement. He continues working. Day after day, the Pinakes grow thicker, yet the space feels lighter. This paradox defines successful order. More information, less tension. More detail, less confusion. The scribes assisting him adopt the same pace. They copy entries slowly. They double-check spellings. They count lines carefully, even when the numbers blur. This repetition is intentional. Counting lines forces attention into narrow channels. Narrow attention quiets the mind. The soundscape of the library reflects this change. Fewer hurried footsteps, fewer whispered questions, more silence filled with purpose. Shelves stand aligned, scrolls rest evenly spaced. The visual regularity reinforces the mental calm. As you listen now, imagine moving through these spaces yourself. You do not need to search, you know where things are. Or rather, you trust that they can be found. This trust is deeply relaxing. The Pinakes offer not answers, but assurance. Assurance that knowledge has a place. Assurance that nothing is truly lost. This is history for sleep at its most methodical. The mind follows patterns. Patterns repeat. Repetition signals safety, and safety allows rest. Callimachus continues his work without drama. The catalog grows, the library breathes more evenly, and as the night deepens, the ordered shelves hold the world's thoughts in steady silence.
As the Pinakes reaches its mature form, the Library of Alexandria enters a state of remarkable stability. Nothing dramatic happens, and that is precisely the point. The shelves remain where they are. The categories do not change. Poetry stays with poetry. History remains beside history. Law follows law. Philosophy rests within philosophy. The repetition becomes complete, closed, self-sustaining. Callimachus continues to refine, not expand. He adjusts margins, he corrects spellings, he confirms line counts once more. These actions repeat daily, sometimes hourly, without variation. This is order maintained, not order created. The difference is subtle, but powerful. Creation requires attention. Maintenance invites rest. Scholars moving through the library now experience something rare. They no longer feel the weight of abundance, they feel held by it. The catalog does not demand memory, it replaces it. The mind is free to drift, knowing that structure remains intact. Shelf after shelf, scroll after scroll. The same distances, the same spacing, the same labels. Visual sameness reduces mental noise. Even footsteps unconsciously slow. Breathing deepens. Voices drop without instruction. The library has become predictable, and predictability becomes comfort. This is the quiet triumph of the history of libraries, not innovation, but reliability. Callimachus fades into the background of his own work. Others can now follow the system without his presence. The Pinakes no longer belongs to a person, it belongs to the space itself. That is how true order behaves. It removes the need for constant attention. As night settles over Alexandria, lamps illuminate the shelves evenly. Light falls the same way it did yesterday, and the day before, and the day before that. No surprises, no interruptions. The catalog absorbs the chaos of the world outside and releases only calm. Wars may occur beyond the walls, storms may rise at sea, but inside the library, the scrolls remain counted, named, placed. This separation between external disorder and internal order is deliberate. It protects the mind. As you listen now, allow yourself to rest within this repetition. There is nothing new to learn here, nothing unexpected to follow, only the reassurance that everything has a place. The Pinake stands as a quiet map, guiding without movement. The categories repeat in your awareness until they blur into rhythm rather than meaning. Poetry, history, law, philosophy, medicine, again and again and again. This is history for sleep at its most deliberately uneventful.
The mind no longer searches for narrative, it accepts continuity. Callimachus's work does not ask to be remembered, it asks to be trusted, and trust invites surrender. As the night deepens, the library holds steady. The chaos of the world is ordered, at least here, and within that order, the mind is free to let go.
There comes a moment in every long story when change arrives quietly, almost unnoticed at first. For the Library of Alexandria, that moment does not begin with shouting or chaos. It begins with light, a distant glow along the harbor, reflections moving gently across the dark surface of the water. This is the night often associated with Julius Caesar, when fire entered the city during conflict. But here, in this telling, the fire is not a roar, it is a presence. Ships burn in the distance, their flames rising and falling like slow breaths. The light reaches the marble walls of Alexandria and paints them briefly in warm tones before fading again. From within the library, there is no panic. The shelves stand as they always have. Scrolls rest in their places. The order remains intact. Those nearby sense something has changed, but they do not yet understand what it means. The fire is not aimed at knowledge. It does not hunt the library. It simply exists as fires do, indifferent and consuming what lies closest. Smoke drifts over the city, thin at first, then thicker, then gone. By morning, the harbor looks different. Darkened timbers float quietly. The water carries ash away without comment. Within the library, losses are subtle. Perhaps a storage space near the docks, perhaps scrolls awaiting cataloging. Not everything is recorded, not everything is noticed. This is important. The story of the burning of the library is often told as a single catastrophic event, but in reality, what begins here is not an ending, but a shift. The library does not fall, it continues. Scholars return, catalogs are consulted, the Mouseion remains calm. Yet something intangible has changed. A sense of certainty loosens slightly. The idea that the library is eternal, untouched by the world outside, becomes less solid. Over time, this feeling deepens. Rome rises, priorities shift, funding becomes irregular. Maintenance, once careful and constant, becomes occasional. Shelves remain, but fewer hands tend them. Order holds, but with less attention. This is how decline truly begins, not with destruction, but with neglect. Scrolls do not vanish overnight. They fade as fewer copies are made. Categories remain, but updates slow. The Panakes still exists, but fewer names are added. This is the slow fade, a process measured in decades, not moments. As you listen, allow this transition to feel gentle. Nothing collapses, nothing screams. The fire reflects once more in memory, then recedes. What remains is time, stretching quietly forward. The library stands, still impressive, still vast, but gradually less central to the world around it. This is history for sleep at its most reflective, a reminder that endings often arrive softly, disguised as continuity. After the night of fire fades into memory, Alexandria continues to wake each morning much as it always has. The sun still rises over the harbor. Ships still arrive and depart. The streets still fill with quiet movement. From the outside, nothing appears broken, and within the library, life resumes with familiar routines. Scholars return to their tables.
Catalogs are consulted. Scrolls are unrolled and reread. Yet beneath this surface continuity, a gradual thinning begins. The support that once sustained the library without interruption now arrives unevenly. Funds that paid scribes, repaired roofs, replaced damaged papyrus become delayed, then reduced, then sporadic. No announcement marks this change. It simply happens. Maintenance days are postponed, repairs wait longer, copying slows. Where once multiple copies were made to ensure survival, now one must suffice. This is not destruction, it is erosion. Rome's attention is elsewhere. Power shifts bring new centers of influence. The library remains respected, but no longer essential. Scholars notice the difference in small ways. Fewer new scrolls arrive. The Pinakes receives fewer additions. The careful repetition that once kept chaos at bay becomes thinner, still present but stretched. Some rooms grow quieter, not with calm, but with absence. The Mouseion continues its rhythm, but fewer voices walk the gardens. Those who remain adapt. They work with what they have. They preserve what they can. The idea of total knowledge, once a living ambition, gently recedes. No one declares it over, it simply stops being spoken aloud. This is how institutions truly fade, not through attack, but through changing priorities. The burning of the library becomes a story told later, simplified, sharpened, made dramatic. But the reality is softer, more patient. The true loss happens in intervals. A decade without full funding, a generation without renewal, a century where care is remembered more than practiced. Scrolls age, papyrus dries, ink fades. Without copying, knowledge sleeps more deeply, eventually slipping beyond reach. As you listen now, imagine walking through the library during this time. The shelves are still impressive, the order remains visible, but something feels quieter, not peaceful, just less alive. The air carries fewer footsteps, lamps are lit less often, some rooms remain closed longer. None of this alarms those present, it unfolds too slowly to feel urgent, and that is why it works. The decline of the library mirrors the decline of attention itself. When care fades, even the greatest structures soften. This is history for sleep in its most subdued form. No collapse, no final moment, just continuity thinning into memory. The library does not disappear, it drifts, and as centuries pass, its presence becomes more symbolic than real. A name remembered, a legend formed. The physical space yields quietly to time, leaving behind the idea of what once was.
As centuries continue to pass, the Library of Alexandria no longer fades as an institution, but as a presence in daily life. There is no final day when its doors close forever, no moment when the last scholar leaves and never returns. Instead, the library becomes quieter in a different way. It remains standing, but less visited. It exists, but no longer shapes the rhythm of the city. New generations grow up hearing its name more often than walking its halls. The idea of the library slowly detaches from its physical reality. Stories replace experience. Memory replaces routine. What once required constant care now survives only in fragments. A scroll here, a reference there, a citation carried into another place, another culture. Knowledge does not vanish, it migrates. Rome carries pieces of it. Byzantium preserves others. The Islamic world later gathers, translates, and extends what remains. The library's role changes from source to origin, from living system to remembered beginning. This transformation is gentle. It does not resist. Buildings weather, roofs leak, repairs are delayed again and again. One wing closes, then another. The Mouseion gardens grow quieter, not because silence is cultivated, but because fewer footsteps pass through them. The routines described earlier continue only in memory. The slow fade completes itself without announcement. This is why the question of who destroyed the library never has a single answer. No one act was enough. No single flame consumed it. The true ending was time. Time combined with neglect. Time combined with shifting priorities. The fire associated with Julius Caesar becomes a symbol, not a cause. It marks the moment when the world touched the library and left its imprint, but the centuries that followed did the rest. As you listen now, allow the library to dissolve gently in your imagination, not in smoke, but in distance. It becomes farther away, softer, less defined, like a dream recalled in the morning, missing details, but rich in feeling. This is history for sleep at its most complete, not a tragedy, but a transition. The Library of Alexandria does not disappear into nothing. It becomes everywhere else, in methods, in catalogs, in the idea that knowledge can be gathered, ordered, and shared. And as that idea spreads, the original place is no longer needed in the same way. Its work continues without it. As night deepens in this story, the last lights fade from the halls, not with sorrow, but with acceptance. The world has moved on, and the library, having given what it could, rests. There is a point in every long history where questions stop demanding answers and begin accepting silence. For the Library of Alexandria, that point arrives not with flames, but with emptiness. By the time the story reaches Hypatia, the great library is no longer a place filled with voices. It is a memory housed in stone. Hypatia herself moves through Alexandria as a quiet echo of what once was, a philosopher, a mathematician, a teacher. She walks streets that once led scholars toward scrolls and debates, but now lead mostly toward prayer, politics, and power. The Serapeum still stands, a remaining shadow of the old intellectual world. Within its walls, some texts may still rest, some instruments, some habits of thought. But the center has shifted. Knowledge no longer gathers here, it disperses or retreats. Hypatia teaches openly, calmly, without urgency. She does not defend the past, she inhabits it gently. Her presence becomes symbolic, not confrontational. In the political and religious tensions of late Roman Alexandria, this quiet continuity becomes fragile. When the Serapeum is eventually destroyed under the authority associated with Theodosius, it is not experienced as a sudden apocalypse by those who remain. It feels like a closing door that few were still using. Stones fall, statues are broken, shelves that once held scrolls are already bare or nearly so. Dust settles where parchment once lay. The destruction of the Serapeum is often cited as the final blow to the library, but by this point, the library has already been absent for generations. What disappears now is not function, but form, a building, a symbol. The silence that follows is not empty, it is full of acceptance. Hypatia's story ends tragically, but even that tragedy is not the end of the library. It is the end of an era's ability to protect thinkers within a shared intellectual space.
afterward, Alexandria continues. Life goes on. The city adapts. What remains of the library exists only in fragments scattered across cultures and centuries. This is the final silence, not an absence of meaning, but the settling of meaning into memory. As you listen now, imagine standing within an empty hall. Light filters in softly. Dust moves slowly in the air. Where shelves once stood, there is space, not loss, but openness. The questions that once filled this place have found other homes. The library has completed its role. And in its silence, it offers no answers, only calm.
After the Serapeum falls into ruin, what remains of the Library of Alexandria becomes a matter of interpretation rather than certainty. This is where history grows quiet and careful. Sources thin, records contradict one another, and instead of a single ending, several possibilities coexist. Some historians suggest that remnants of the library's collection survived elsewhere in the city, perhaps absorbed into smaller schools or private holdings. Others believe that what endured was not the scrolls themselves, but the methods they inspired: cataloging, commentary, preservation through copying. The name of the library becomes shorthand for a way of thinking, not a physical place. Hypatia's era marks a turning point not because knowledge vanishes, but because the environment that once protected open inquiry dissolves. Political authority, religious certainty, and social tension reshape Alexandria into something new. In such an atmosphere, silence becomes safer than curiosity. This does not mean thought ends, it means it moves inward or elsewhere. Some knowledge travels north, influencing Byzantine scholars. Some travels east, finding renewed life in later Islamic centers of learning. The destruction of the library, therefore, is not a single historical event, but a long redistribution, a scattering. The final silence is not empty, it is full of echoes. When we ask what truly happened to the library, we are really asking how civilizations choose what to remember. The Serapeum's fall under Theodosius is one moment among many. Hypatia's death is another. Neither alone explains everything. Together, they illustrate a broader shift, a movement away from shared intellectual spaces toward more controlled forms of knowledge. The library's disappearance reflects not malice, but transformation. As you imagine this time, picture Alexandria at dusk. The streets are quieter. The great buildings still cast long shadows, but fewer people walk beneath them. Dust gathers where footsteps once repeated daily. The silence feels settled, not violent. This is the silence that follows change, not catastrophe. History for sleep lives here, in the space between certainty and mystery. The library does not demand to be mourned, it asks only to be understood gently. And understanding, like sleep, does not come from force.
In the end, the story of the Library of Alexandria does not conclude with an answer, but with a feeling, a quiet acceptance that some things are meant to dissolve, not because they failed, but because their work was complete. The halls that once echoed with measured footsteps and whispered debate now stand open to air and light. Dust settles gently, not as a sign of neglect, but as a sign of time passing naturally. Where shelves once held scrolls, there is space, and within that space, there is calm. Hypatia's name lingers, not as a symbol of loss, but as a reminder of continuity. She represents the final visible thread connecting the ancient world's devotion to inquiry with the changing rhythms that followed. Her absence does not erase what came before her. It simply marks the moment when the library no longer needed to exist as a place in order to survive as an idea. The serapeum stones fall, but the methods remain. The catalogs fade, but the instinct to order knowledge endures. The silence that follows is not empty. It is full of echoes carried forward through centuries. In monasteries, in academies, in quiet rooms where someone copies a text by hand, unaware of Alexandria, yet shaped by it. This is the final silence, a silence that does not erase but settles. As you imagine the last moments of the library, do not picture destruction. Picture stillness, the kind of stillness that follows a long day well spent. The lamps are extinguished one by one, not in urgency, but in sequence. Light fades evenly across the stone. The city outside continues, unaware that anything has ended. And that is the truth. Nothing truly ends. It transforms. History for sleep does not ask you to remember dates or causes. It invites you to feel continuity. The Library of Alexandria lives on in every system that values order over chaos, patience over haste, curiosity over fear. And as this story gently comes to rest, allow yourself to rest as well. Let the questions dissolve. Let the answers soften. The final silence is not an absence, it is peace.
When we look back at the Library of Alexandria, it is tempting to think of it as something fragile. Marble that cracked, scrolls that turned to dust, names that faded into footnotes. But this is only the surface story. Beneath it lies something far more enduring. The library was never just walls or shelves. It was a way of believing that knowledge mattered enough to be gathered, protected, and shared. And that belief did not burn away. It drifted. Like embers carried gently on the wind, the spirit of Alexandria moved beyond the city itself. It traveled east to places like Baghdad, where scholars built the House of Wisdom, translating and preserving texts that once echoed the same ancient questions. It traveled north to Constantinople, where manuscripts were copied patiently, line by line, in quiet rooms not unlike the halls of the Mouseion. It traveled forward through centuries, reshaping itself each time it found a new home. This is the legacy of knowledge, not permanence, but continuity, not stillness, but calm movement. The eternal flame does not blaze, it glows, softly, steadily. When we speak of the library today, we are not mourning a loss, we are recognizing a transformation. But Dream of Alexandria now lives in universities, in archives, in digital libraries that exist everywhere and nowhere at once. It lives in the simple act of curiosity, in the desire to understand rather than dominate. This is philosophical history at its quietest and most comforting. The idea that nothing meaningful is ever truly lost, it only changes form. As you listen, imagine that ancient flame no longer bound to stone or city. Imagine it floating across a dark sea, reflected in calm water, guiding ships without noise or urgency. The marble is gone. The scrolls are dust. But the dream remains. And it moves gently, asking nothing from you except rest.